Crawford, Modica, and Holt, Chartered Attorneys at Law, here to help you overcome your legal obstacles. Our lawyers carry exceptional experience and work as a team with our fantastic support staff to provide practical solutions to your legal matters. Whether it be family law, criminal defense, land use and zoning, or complex litigation, probate litigation, business, and regulatory matters, the attorneys at Crawford, Modica, and Holt are here to serve you. Call us for all your legal needs at 352-432-8644.
Hey, Pastor Shay, how are you?
Hey. Start knocking too.
Good evening. The date is September 22nd, 2025, and the time is 7:01. I hereby call to order the meeting of the City Council of the City of Groveland, Florida. Sierra, will you please take the roll?
Mayor Keith Keogh.
Here.
Vice Mayor Barbara Gaines. Here. Councilmember Amy Jo Carroll. Here. Councilmember Judith Fike.
Here.
Councilmember Mike Radzik. City Manager Michael Hine. Sergeant at Arms Chief Sham Ramsey. City Attorney Anita Garasi Carver. And Deputy City Clerk Sierra Bender here.
We have a quorum. Thank you. Agenda item 1, consideration of approval resolution 2025-60, adopting and approving the recommended non-ad valorem fire assessment by the 2025 bench study, July 15, 2025, to provide for fire protection and rescue services. This is a second reading. Sierra, will you please read the resolution?
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Groveland, Florida, relating to fire protection and rescue services and non-ad valorem assessments to provide for such services, approving a methodology for the levy of fire protection and rescue non-ad valorem assessments for all non-exempt specially benefited property in the City of Groveland, determining that the methodology and assessment rates for all classes of non-exempt specially benefited properties in Groveland, recommended by the Benesh study dated July 15, 2025, constitute legally valid fire protection and rescue assessments, adopting and approving the recommended non-ad valorem assessments by the 2025 Benesh study, providing for an effective date.
Thank you.
Yes,
Mr. Hine?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, good evening. Again, this resolution is the final kind of step in the fire assessment adoption process. As you'll recall, there were a couple of notification requirements. One was through first-class mail, and you had a pretty robust hearing involved with members of the public and comments and presentations. This is the one that satisfies the notification in the newspaper. We are prepared to go through the full presentation again if you would like. The items 2 and 3, I know are of particular interest tonight to give guidance to the hardship program and really the treatment of institutional and nonprofit facilities.
We do have representatives here, right, that would like to go through so we'll go ahead and ask to go through the presentation.
Sure. So, Nilgan, if you want to go through the presentation.
Good evening, Commissioners. Nilgün Kemp with Benesh. Let's see. Sorry. Oh, there we go. Okay, the presentation starts with a brief background review and then technical study and the next steps. Fire assessments are a type of non-ad valorem special assessment used to fund the capital and operating costs associated with providing fire protection and the first responder services. They are very common in Florida. They've been upheld by courts, and also the courts have approved multiple methodologies in the calculation of fire assessments. The city's fire department provides fire protection and EMS services and has an ISO rating of 2/2X. Again, a high ISO rating results in insurance premium reductions, which benefit the community. The assessment program was initially implemented in 22, so this year's update is basically updating the existing program, and also it went into exploring different methodologies as well as reflecting the current data. City appointed a fire assessment committee that comprised of Groveland residents, and they were charged with reviewing different methodologies and make recommendations. So the committee recommended use of availability and resource allocation combined in determining the rates, and also recommended adding more tiers for both residential and non-residential land uses. So the methodology needs to demonstrate benefits, special benefit to property, and a reasonable allocation of costs. The assessable budget includes only the fire protection and first response related expenses. Any costs related to advanced life support are excluded. And then that cost was distributed through different land uses based on both resource utilization as well as the fire department's availability and benefit from that. So it was a two-tier demand. So there are 4 or 5 components that I'll go through it. We start with identifying the assessable budget and then allocate those costs, again, using a combination of availability and resource utilization. So 70% of the budget in both cases, both residential and non-residential, is distributed equally among all units, and that reflects the availability of the fire department on a 24/7 basis. So even if a property never uses their services, they benefit from the readiness and availability of the fire department in terms of insurance premium savings, property values, safety, and so forth. And then the remaining 30% is distributed based on actual incident data and reflects the actual use by each property. And again, that 70-30 is based on industry research that says that any station that's active more than 30% of the time starts experiencing difficulties, inefficiencies, fatigue, inability to address concurrent events, lack of training, and so forth. So that's where those two numbers are coming from. In the case of residential, the recommendation was to expand the square footage tiers from 5 to 11. So that resulted in a fee range of anywhere from $260 for a small home to all the way to $533 for homes that are 5,000 square foot or more. When we look at the dollar difference compared to the current rates, you can kind of see that about 95% of the units will experience increase of less than $60. So again, this is an existing fee being updated, and the difference is additional amount, not so much the total amount. So non-residential, again, we go through the same type of process, calculate the 70% of the budget, distribute that among all square footage equally, and then the 30% is based on resource utilization. In this case, the square footage tiers were expanded to 34 tiers. To really be able to capture the larger developments that the city experienced since the last study. So the commercial rates range from $165 per parcel to $123,750. Industrial is from $87 to $65,250, and then industrial is $269 to $201,750. In many cases, both commercial and industrial, none of the properties paid those higher ends just because the square footages didn't go all the way to $750. So again, this chart is giving some example tiers. In commercial, 108 out of the 110 parcels experienced a decrease in their fee rate, and in industrial warehouse, 48 out of 58 parcels has a decrease. So again, those are because of us incorporating larger parcels and being able to distribute it more evenly. Stuck. Okay, then the vacant land is, again, it's just the budget divided by the parcels, so that's about $130 per parcel. So in terms of next steps, again, today, based on today's decision, the final assessment roll will be submitted. And then I know there are some more information about the increased funding for the hardship program. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you.
Any questions? Actually, just clarifications. None of this fire assessment is going towards capital projects, correct?
Correct. It's primarily operational.
And then the other thing is, because I just noticed, the 30% portion, 70% of that 30% is going towards those in the 1,500 to 1,999 square foot range.
They are both going through it, but because, are you referring to residential? Yeah. Because of the smaller properties have a lower value and size is smaller, their portion of it is less. So that's how it's being distributed.
All I have, thanks.
I just have one question, if you can help me out with, because I've got several notes from people in the insurance industry that take exception to us saying that the insurance rates may come down. We've done a couple presentations and pretty straightforward that we shouldn't be saying that. Is that true, or?
So the biggest decrease in insurance premiums is from a class 9 or 10 to maybe 5. Like that's when you see the 30%, 40% decreases, sometimes 60%. And then after 5, it's smaller decreases. That's their point, saying currently today. But the fact that you have the fire department that's 5 or better automatically saves you that 40, 60 compared to not having it. So that's our point.
Okay. I need to explain that properly, so thank you. Any further questions? No further questions? Seeing none. Chief, did you have anything to say, or?
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council. Thank you for the opportunity to be here this evening. If I may ask, I know Dr. Dixon is out of town on vacation. We do have him on the phone. Would you mind if I stepped aside and gave him just a few minutes so he could be on his, continue his vacation? Is that okay? Okay.
Well, Chief, if I may, sorry, Mayor, I think Dr. Dixon's assistance will be required when we talk about institutional properties.
Okay.
And the other recommendations from the committee.
Good point, sir, yes. All right, so okay, we'll hold off. All right, so I did send a memo out to you, and just giving you some options when it comes to institutional properties. But before that,
Chief, we're still on the resolution.
We're just on the adopting the second reading of the overall right now.
okay, so
Institution comes up next, or,
this was just about the outreach portion of it and then the institutional, but,
yes, we have those coming up and we'll address those.
okay, I'll wait then.
Oh, thank you. Okay, any public discussion?
Keith Callaway?
First, that way they can respond to what we're saying.
Got more questions?
Usually, they're responding to what we're motioning.
You don't want to speak? Okay.
Okay, I know this is just a formality tonight, the second reading. I get it. It's already in the budget, already done.
Didn't give his name.
But I gotta say it. Gotta stop it, folks. Next year, please get your pencils out, get ready. I know we're gonna have a lot of new council members. And yes, sir.
You give your name, Keith, and address, your name and address.
I always forget that. Give me a detention. I'll serve a lunch detention for that one. I'm at 9100 Chandler Drive, Groveland, Florida, 34736. And again, I understand this is a formality tonight. Didn't even know the meeting was happening until it actually flashed across my phone coming home from work tonight. And I'm not going to miss the council meeting. But anyway, moving forward, y'all, we need to look at this again. And I appreciate what you just said about the 70% coming out of the certain range of the square footage of the houses. That needs to really be looked at. All right. Thank you very much.
Any further public comment?
Are all of you for the next one? Okay, so no further comment.
Okay, thank you. Can I get a motion to accept 2025-60?
I'll make a motion to accept Resolution 2025-60, which is adopting and approving a recommended non-ad valorem fire assessment by the 2025 Benes study.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
And we have a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, go ahead, Sierra.
Councilmember Razik, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Fife?
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll? Aye. Vice Mayor Gaines?
Aye.
Mayor Keough?
Aye. Passed. Agenda item 2, discussion hardship program outreach efforts.
Mr. Mayor, real quick, we don't have any council discussion on this agenda, and I do have something I wanted to add to the resolution that we just talked about adopting, and maybe you all, after November, can think about it, and that is coming back in 6 months and relooking at the distribution, since, again, 70% of the 30% is affecting a lot more people, and maybe you can take a look and get that reallocated, but...
Let's come around and get this, and then I'll come back at the end. Is that
Okay,
okay?
thank you.
All right, item agenda 2, hardship program and outreach efforts. Mr. Hine?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, this item is to discuss the efforts that have taken place in the past and also this current period on the hardship program and some of the outreach. This is when Chief Carroll gets to come up and talk about those things.
Chief, now's your time.
You need to get your head in the game there, Chief.
Okay, I'm going to have Chief Thiemann actually come up and speak about the outreach, what's happened to date, and moving forward.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council. We've been given direction to provide you guys with a little bit of a summary of the communication and outreach that's been done this year. on the fire assessment economic hardship program, and then kind of lay out what our plan is for next year. We're going to add a few additional things to help spread the word. In summary, you're all probably very well aware of what's been posted on the city's website. That's kind of been the main source of information so far. The city's website has the actual study itself from Banesh. There's an informational video that was created by Dr. Dixon and Chief Carroll about the fire assessment. We've got a copy of the neighborhood huddle presentation that was given in Trinity Lakes. That's also available on the website. We also provided some directions and instructions how to compare your previous tax bills and fire assessment fees from previous years. A copy of the Fire Assessments Committee recommendations to Council, a fire assessment comparative to other cities, as well as a brief fire assessment overview. An economic hardship in English and Spanish digital flyer was created and put online and on social media, providing program details and locations where printed applications were available, and that was at the Public Safety Building, the library, and City Hall. Those phone numbers that were posted on there went to April Allman in finance, as well as Christy Higdon with the fire department. And both received quite a few phone calls. I think most of the phone calls they received actually were residents wanting to know about next year's application. So we have retained their information and have their contact information, and we'll call them back when the new form comes available, make sure they get the form that they want. Most of the phone calls have kind of tapered down. The deadline is September 30th for this year's application. Haven't had too many more phone calls, I believe, from finance, on the finance side either. They also posted the residential and institutional organization economic hardship forms as well, that they could just fill in online and print or email. And then on August 1st and September 1st on the utility bill, the economic hardship program and information about it was sent out to residents, which basically told them the economic hardship application was available and gave the city's website and locations to pick up the applications. We also had a town hall meeting in Trinity Lake Estates where the mayor, myself, Dr. Dixon, Pam from finance, Jennifer and Bridget from communications, we all attended that meeting. I think we ran about over 2 hours, Mayor, at that meeting, and I think it was a great meeting, very fruitful, I believe. And then going forward, we kind of realized, and after some of the comments the Vice Mayor had made, we kind of rallied the troops and said, well, what do we need to do different to make sure that we are able to reach out to members of the community that are beyond digital capable through cell phone or for computers. We're kind of missing the mark on that aspect. So we kind of tapped into a couple of new resources. So our plan for going forward, and now we kind of have a group that's working on communication going forward. It's not going to be left up to communications or to just one person from the fire department. We're going to work on this collectively. So we're planning on continuing all of the things I previously mentioned, all the digital and all the locations and paper copies, and then we're going to add to that as well. So one of the neat things that we came up with, and thanks to Craig from IT, we actually have a new phone number, and I want to call it the Groveland hotline, but I don't know what it's going to be titled yet. I guess the city manager will have to tell us. But it's an actual call-in phone number that residents can call into to get a digital message, and we can change that messaging within 30 seconds if we wanted to. And our vision for this phone number is you don't need to have a cell phone to call in. You just need a landline telephone. And you could get information that it has to do with the fire assessment and or other relevant city events or activities or whatever else. But for now, we felt that this dedicated phone line would be a great resource for people as well. And we're still working on that. We have the phone number already in place. And literally, we have up to 1,000 words to type in, click enter, and that message is converted to a digital message. So that's one of the new things that IT has helped us out with. We're also going to add a couple of different locations to drop off these paper applications. And we felt like after our discussions previously that we were kind of missing the mark on tapping some existing resources in the city, and that was I went to the James L. Weiss Senior Center and actually met a number of nice ladies there, but they deferred me to Denise Drackley, the lady who coordinates the center over there. Her and I spoke, had a good conversation, explained to her what we were looking to do, which is to have a stack of applications there, some informational poster, and her staff would be able to make sure that residents that attend the senior center knew that those applications were there, and they would assist them however they could with reading the directions or guiding them with how to fill out the form. And she also twisted my arm. We're also going to go and do a presentation and meet all the seniors that come there on one of their busy days, I believe is a Wednesday. So we'll push this program when we do that. We also went to the Elise Tomlin Center, and as I was speaking with one of the staff members, Dr. Linda walked in, and I said, "Oh, perfect, thanks for being here." Told her what we wanted to do. Again, the community center is a great resource. We're going to drop off a stack of paper applications. She committed her staff to helping us, or helping those that come to the community center with filling out those forms. And she's also committed to hand delivering these applications, the residential hardship applications, to 36 odd Meals on Wheels recipients. So we felt that that niche of the population probably needed the help the most. So whether or not they're homeowners, we don't know, but we'll find out. We'll push to have those delivered as well. And I think Chief Carroll mentioned it earlier, or at a previous meeting. We plan on putting these applications on the fire trucks because we interact with people all the time, not just on emergency calls, or they could be up Publix shopping for their meal for the night, and they get approached by people all the time. And so just having that in the fire truck is great to be able to pull that out on demand if someone wanted one. And if someone wanted one delivered, our fire trucks would deliver them upon request. So they'll be stocked on the fire trucks. We also have looks like we're going to have another town huddle on September 30th. I think we just locked that in today. And that's going to be a fire assessment discussion presentation, as well as come learn about the fire department, if I understand the mayor, what he wants to do. That'll be in the evening, September 30th, so that'll be another town huddle that people can attend. And we'll try to advertise that as best as possible ahead of time to get the word out about that, to come on out and meet us and have good conversations. We also plan on using the city's utility bill going forward. That's a great resource as well. We don't have any dates earmarked. You know that the application period is from November 1st till September 30th. I think it's safe to say that that's probably going to be posted on the utility bill a number of times over the course of the year. We also thought about setting up or having somebody with some applications, probably myself, Chief Carroll, maybe somebody else from the fire department, utilize the city's table at the Second Friday events. As attendance starts to go up a little bit more, as the weather gets better, the city has a table. What a great opportunity to interact with people and at least have discussions and provide the application if asked to do so. And then we have a couple other ancillary means of communication, such as the marquee sign right out here, if we wanted to utilize that as well. And there is a mass texting that can be geo-fenced to a certain area for residents that signed up for that, or actually their phone numbers from the utility bills. So we don't know if we'll go there yet, but we know that that is an option to us going forward. So just to give you some economic hardship program summary as part of your decision-making process tonight. In 2024, the previous year, 11 institutions received hardship. 38 residents received a hardship, and the total cost of that was just over $19,000 for 2024. 2025, as of last week, and I don't know if we've got any additional applications, but as of late last week, for this year ending September 30th in 8 days, 2 institutions have submitted an application, and 34 residents have submitted application at a cost of $11,389. Since the hardship notices were sent out recently, an additional 19 applications were received. Of those 19, 3 were rejected, 16 were approved. So in total for 2025, 40 applications were received. 4 ended up being denied. They didn't meet the criteria, and 36 were approved as of late last week. So That's the plan.
Thank you so much. Questions?
Yes, thank you. I have a couple. First off, why were the few rejected? What was the reason for that, since you threw that in there?
They didn't meet the criteria, either for the residential, they didn't meet the low-income requirements, or institutional if they didn't fill out the application properly.
Okay, so my question centers around, I believe in order to apply for the hardship, the residents have to show that they've filed their taxes. So there are limits. Some folks, dependent upon their income levels, don't have to file taxes. And so how are we, if somebody comes in and say, well, I didn't file taxes, where do we have the ability, or does somebody have the information, I mean, you can Google it, I did, that they're at that level that they don't have to file taxes, so that we're not going, well, you know, you didn't file your taxes, and then they're like, well, I don't have to. So where are we coming up with that information to have that available on that? Come on up, Chief.
If I could just make one correction, I apologize because this is something that Chief Thiemann was not aware of, but I did attach the letter on the 2 institutional properties that were exempted, if you will, due to hardship. Actually, one of them wasn't a hardship. That was the agreement for the perpetual driveway, taking approximately 1 acre of their land from them, putting a fence, and having a driveway in and out of the Oak Tree Cemetery. So, and there was actually only one institutional property that actually applied.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Michelle Davis. I work in finance. I reviewed the applications as they come in, and what I can say is the application, they have to put their total gross income on it, and they attach their tax return if they have one. So if they don't have one and they're applying, I would say most of them attach a Social Security benefit letter, which shows their Social Security income in the gross, so we have to go by that. We don't have any way of verifying if they have to file a tax return or not.
Okay, I was just curious. I mean, I used to work in an industry where that was highly critical on abilities to get student loans and things like that.
Right.
So I was just curious how it dovetailed here. But there is some checks and balance
There is
going
checks
on.
and
I'm not
balance.
trying to hold anybody's feet to the flame. It was just a curiosity question on it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay. Mr. Radzik?
So I had a whole list of ways we could reach the community, and you guys hit, I'd say 90% of them, so that's really good. The only other thing is maybe we can locate our local, like, WIC office, or, and try to drop off some applications there. I know not everybody that would go to that office would even live in Groveland, but the agents working with them will know who lives in Groveland, and they could bring it up to people that do go there.
I'm sorry, which office? I didn't hear you.
A WIC office.
Got you. Okay. Good
But
idea.
that's it. That was a great list. Thank you.
Okay.
Where is the 9:30 huddle being held? Did I hear you?
On September, the EOC, I'm sorry, over the Public Safety Building in the EOC.
Okay,
7 o'clock.
will there be someone there from the city to help someone fill it out if should they need help?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, that's it.
Okay, just a few things, learnings. In talking about other things with the elementary school, 70% of the students in the elementary school are Title I. So that's a concentration of people in need. I don't think we need to go and hand out and ask who's Title I, but when you're doing your demos and you're doing your thing in the, one of our key values in our strategic plan and in this community is heart. So it would be a great way to say, you know, one of our key values is heart, and look at what we're doing, and that might get some things in bags to take home and help that out. Also, we have, I'm going to put somebody on the spot. We have a ministers group of all of our ministers in Groveland that I think is headed up by Tony McCoy, and that would be a great way to get the word out to all the smaller churches and things, because I think that would be a real benefit for them and their congregations to be able to say, look what we have, and that would be also another way, if I could just add that. Faith Neighborhood Center, they could put it in the bags. I mean, I see nothing wrong. We got a board member right here of that agency, and that might be another way to get the word out.
Okay, good, great ideas. Thank you for your input. Appreciate it.
Yep. And I have no further comments. Do we have public comment?
Yes. Mike Randolph?
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. My name is Mike Randolph, and I'm the proud head of schools for Hope Preparatory Academy, 13806 State Road 33, Groveland, Florida. On behalf of our founders, Dr. Tony McCoy and Jody McCoy, I ask the board to reconsider the fire assessment fee for nonprofits and 501c3s. Although we understand the need and importance of the need for the assessment, placing the cost of the assessment on churches such as Hope International Church causes financial hardship on the various nonprofits that the church supports. As the proud head of schools for Hope Preparatory Academy, Hope International Church is a major financial contributor to our viability as a school. Similar to public schools, private schools operate with a tight budget, and we look for community support and grants to help fill in the gaps to cover the needs for our scholars. Hope International Church has been a very generous supporter of the school, our scholars, and the community as a whole, and I ask the board to strongly reconsider levying the assessment fee on nonprofit organizations. Thank you.
Yep.
Charnay LaFloria Daniels?
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and City Council. My name is Charnay LaFloria Daniels, and I'm here representing Hope International Church and our founding pastors, Dr. Tony McCoy and Pastor Jody McCoy. I actually wear several hats in that I'm also a part of Hope International Church as one of the executive directors, but I also serve as the proud assistant principal at Hope Preparatory Academy. So I'm here just to lend my voice regarding the concerns we have related to the fire assessment and those fees being charged to nonprofit organizations. Our address was already stated, but I will state it again for the record, 13806 State Route 33 here in the beautiful city of Groveland, Florida. On the side of the church, I wanted just to speak on the many programs and outreach aspects that we provide at Hope International Church. In particular, I'm part of and overseeing our children's ministry called Frogs Ministry, Fully Relying on God. We do a lot of work with our children, teaching them about the Word of God. We also, join partnership with the city when it comes to the backpacks for back to school. In relationship to our women's ministry, we hold conferences and events that are of little charge or no charge at all to the women in Groveland as well as the surrounding areas, in particular Lake County. And all those particular outreaches are done by the donations of the members of the church. So incurring fees such as these can tremendously impact the budget of the church and take monies that we would use to assist in those areas like our children's ministry, our women's ministry, and even our couples ministry that we also offer outreach to. And we know that family is important and the bedrock of community. So I'm asking that the City Council would reconsider levying this assessment fee on nonprofit organizations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Christina Tremaine?
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the Council, City Manager. My name was already stated, Christina Tremaine, and I'm the Executive Director of Hope International Church, 13806 State Road 33. And I'm also representing our senior pastors, Dr. Tony and Jody McCoy. We are a 501c3 non-for-profit organization. And we recently received our first $10,000 fire assessment fee, which is why we're all here tonight. And while I deeply respect the work, of course, that our fire department does and first responders, and as a first responder myself for some 13 plus years, and currently still in the Air Force, which I just came back from today, I understand what these fees are needed for and what they go towards as far as responding and our first responders. In that same token, as a person that's representing a 501c3 organization in a church, this particular fee on us, as you're considering from your community assessment board, really stands to make a significant financial burden on our church. As Pastor Charnay and also our head of schools just mentioned about the various community services and things that we provide through volunteers and strictly through donations. We are a not-for-profit organizations, and whenever we can get the sporadic grants to help us continue to provide these services, we jump right on them to be able to do that. Some of those services that she already mentioned were our men and women's. We have specific nights to minister to not just needs of our church. You don't have to be a member to receive the services that we provide. You just need to be a citizen of Groveland. And we all know, we can just take a look at the news and see around even our own city, the people are hurting. They're hurting mentally, they're hurting financially, they're hurting physically. We're in the process of building a 20,000 square foot building, Hope Wellness Center, and that ties in directly with Groveland strategic planning values. We talk about heart, the mayor mentioned that tonight, and we really consider ourselves a portion of the heart of our community as a city of Groveland to be able to help all types of diverse families. I'm reminded of a story 2 months ago when I came up to the church, and there was already a young man, he was 15 years old, sitting outside on one of our benches, tying his shoes up with masking tape because he walked to the church, because he knew that night we were going to be having food at our Voltage Youth Group that is run by TJ and Mariah McCoy. And that's just one of the many stories that I could tell you on the ways that we're looking and we're helping and we're continually to help our community. And we're just asking the council to reconsider the recommendation from the Fire Assessment Fee Council to levy this on nonprofit organizations, because the funds that we have directly go back into our community. Again, we are not selling anything, but we're giving things away. Our special needs, we are the only place in this side of Lake County that is registered and licensed to host special needs, a buddy break program, where families can drop off their special needs family members for 4 hours to get a break they otherwise would not have and know that they have one-on-one attention ABA therapy care. That is done by the donations and the tithes of our members. And so to assess this $10,000 fee would be to vote yes on this for nonprofit, will be voting directly yes to take money out of those programs. To vote yes on us having to pay and other churches having to pay this fee will be voting yes to not having enough funds to help that young man I just talked about. Yes to us not being able to finish doing the buddy break program that allows these special needs children, and yes to not us having to take funds away from our weekly food bank services that we provide every Tuesday. And so what we're just asking is just for you to reconsider, to allow churches to be able automatically granted into the hardship program. And we just really thank you, for each of you, for your time. I can look around the council board and see every one of you, from our city manager all the way to my right, who have supported some of the events that we have. And we just ask that you continue supporting by voting no and not taking a recommendation of this fire assessment fee to levy this particular $10,000 fee on Hope International and other churches alike. Thank you.
Thank you. I know these are all grouped together, and I think that these talks are more under the discussion of the treatment of institutions, because I don't think we want to vote no on the hardship program, because that's a way to help people. Okay. Is that okay? Any further?
No further comment, public comment.
Thank you. Any further comment?
I got a question. Mr. Hine, how much money or what is the allocation of tax of the assessment for 501Cs in churches?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, can I suggest with the mayor and council's indulgence that we close out number 2 and then move into number 3? The intent of number 2 was simply to talk about the outreach, and I think we got great feedback from different social service agencies, the faith-based community, and some nonprofits. And again, in addition to the mail and all the other notices, we're going to continue to do that, and I have every bit of faith and confidence in Chief Carroll and Chief Thiemann. You did budget $50,000 this year. We, of course, will be giving you monthly updates as to how many applicants. I also want to remind the council and inform those who weren't here, when the program rolled out in 2022, it followed the HUD guidelines of 30% of income levels, and we found that not a lot of people qualified, so the mayor and council at that time bumped it up to 60% to capture a broader universe. You know, with that, what I'll do, if it's okay with you all, is ask Chief Carroll to come up. I think he wants to talk a little bit about the history of the institutional classification and nonprofits, and I think
We go ahead, and is there anything needed for the hardship, or just information?
No, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, this was just discussion. There were some questions when the hardship was considered previously in the budget as to what efforts were undertaken and what efforts would be undertaken. So we just wanted to articulate that a little bit more this evening. This one, though, however, we would appreciate some, as the agenda states, some direction.
Thank you. Chief?
Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members, now thank you for allowing me to come up and speak. If I may, I have tremendous respect for Mr. Moraine and the folks from Hope International. If I may ask, I think it's vitally important that we make sure we draw this definitive line between the hardship program and any potential that you may discuss tonight, discounts that you would offer to religious or 501(c) facilities. Because you got to remember, it's from October 1st to September 30th, where, you know, everybody, potentially residential or institutional, can apply for hardship, and those funds are meant to be there for hardship cases. So I would ask you to look at those kind of as two separate items. Again, not that institutional cannot apply for hardship. They can. So hardship is over here. We've already talked about that. Now, how do we treat institutional properties? I think this is probably a good segue to now have Dr. Dixon say a few words before I move on, with your permission. Okay. Hello, Dr. Dixon.
Looks like you're on your own, Chief.
I may be. He's actually on the phone.
I hear him in the back room, so we just got to get him from there to here.
Okay. In the meantime, while we're waiting for Dr. Dixon to talk, just so you're aware, if you exempted or you dismissed, or whatever term we want to use, the 27 institutional properties in totality, this would be $52,186. That's if you dismissed everybody. That is actually currently, not moving into the future here, but currently we offer a 75% discount to all institutional properties. Last year there were less, there are more now, obviously. The county is currently a 64% reduction, and the institutional facilities all pay the remaining 36 in Lake County. And they are assessed at 0.269 cents per square foot, and that's of course, that $52,186 makes up just a small sliver of the $3,868,331 for the fire assessment, what the fire assessment would collect.
Mr. Hine, we have to replace, the city has to replace any discount or any grant, right?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, any reduction in the revenues from the assessment would have to be paid out of the general fund.
Craig, do we have Dr. Dixon? All right. Moving forward. So we've, along with Dr. Dixon, our fire assessment consultant, Nilgin, finance director, April, and of course, Dr. Dixon, we had a discussion the other day to come up with options for you to discuss. This is for all of you to discuss because along with Dr. Dixon, they feel that any discounts that would be extended to institutional properties should ultimately come from the board to approve or deny. So everybody feels pretty firmly about that. But with those options, we felt that, again, institutional and residential could both apply for the hardship program. The residential, there's a separate form. We're still waiting. We'll have Michelle answer whether or not we've gotten the updated HUD values where it comes to the proper. Dr. Dixon?
Very, very soft.
Very low.
Greg, turn it up.
Can you turn it up? Yes, sir. Go ahead. You have the floor.
Excellent. Thank you. Sorry about that. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council, managers, city staff, and fellow residents. I am Dr. Brandon Dixon, an author of Life Lived by the Project, chair of the Fire Assessment Committee, and proud Groveland neighbor. I apologize I could not attend in person this evening. I'm traveling to support my client's efforts, and I apologize. As this is the third time we'll be receiving this, I intend to keep this presentation concise and our recommendations. I'll keep
Thank you, Dr. Dixon. Does anybody have any questions for Dr. Dixon?
Questions?
Okay.
Dixon? No?
I'm sure he'll still be on the phone here for a few minutes. All right, so what we have is we brought forward, these are just 3 options for your discussion. Again, if you have another option, I think it should be brought up here and it should be discussed as well. Again, as I stated previously, Lake County offers 64% discount to all institutional properties. Where I came from previously also used to discount up to a certain amount, or they had a cap, and at one point they even discounted or did not charge sanctuary parts of religious facilities, but they did charge full price for the rest of the facilities. In speaking with them the other day, there are no discounts for anybody, and that is Hernando County. I'm not saying that's the way we should do it, I'm just giving you different ends of the spectrum. So the first option to have for discussion is no discounts on institutional facilities at all. That's not uncommon, but that is an option. Something you have to consider is a hospital, a rehabilitation center, places that could be for-profit. If you extend a discount to everybody, then you potentially have these huge facilities, profitable facilities that are not paying their fair share towards the fire assessment fee. Next option for discussion, and we can go back over these obviously. Religious facilities could have sanctuary square footage discounted or exempted from the rest of the facility square footage, and that would be based at the 0.269 cents per square foot. Another option could be religious facilities and charitable nonprofits, 501(c)(3)s, could receive a full discount for the entire property, and again, that percentage would be left up to mayor and council to decide what that percentage would be for the square footage. And then all other non-religious and non-charitable organizations, 501(c)(3)s, would pay full assessment on their institutional property. So those were the 2 options we came up with. And again, we also recommend, if I may, before we have any discussion, is that it's important. There is actually a hardship form also for institutional. Last year, we had one facility that did apply for the hardship program. The other one, as I stated, was Praise Temple Church, and that's for the forever access of taking their land and allowing access into the cemetery. In saying that, we feel, again, this would be for discussion as well, and Dr. Dixon and our finance staff also agreed with this, is that we felt that a checklist. So one of the things an institutional property has to prove or provide is quantitative and qualitative documentation on how this would actually negatively affect them to continue to provide services. It couldn't just be a letter that says we can't do this anymore. There has to be some meat and potatoes, because we felt if Mrs. Smith needs to show up with her tax return and she needs to provide a whole full layout of documentation, that the institutional facilities should also be required to provide some qualitative and quantitative reasons or proof why they should apply for the hardship program as well. So those were the 3 options, and open for discussion, sir.
Questions? Amy Jo?
So less a question and more kind of another thought. I'm kind of in the opinion that we just go to no discounts, but with the caveat that they can bring forth and present to council like their added value to the community, and based on that we can discount case by case, because not every church and not every institution provides the same value to our community. And if they're giving back to the community consistently, they can show us that, and we can then discount it on a case by case basis.
And Councilwoman, that's exactly what that form would actually do. They would have to do exactly what you said. That form, of course, I have finance. That would come into the finance department, but after speaking with the city manager, he always has a much better idea than I have. And it was decided that those forms would come into the fire department. We would then check the boxes. Yes, institutional facility X did provide this, they did provide this, they did provide this, and then place it on a council agenda for all of you to review and determine, yes, it approves, yes, it does not. If they don't meet that information, we would just contact them and say, hey, you need to beef this up a little bit. We really don't think you covered the qualitative or quantitative areas of how this would negatively impact you.
Right.
And we'd get that information when they did provide that, then we would put it on a future council agenda. Do know, I believe that requires an ordinance change, though, to the existing, which only gives you 2 weeks.
Yeah, no, I like that idea that we just start with no discounts, but then provide them. Yeah, I think that's the better route. That way we leave out any exemptions, because there will always be someone that's outside the framework. So if we just do it case by case, you avoid that.
Okay, thank you.
I want to make sure I got this right. There's 27 institutional properties.
Yes, ma'am.
There's a 75% discount to institutions.
Currently, yes, ma'am, for this budget year, there's a 75% discount, total discount. Yep.
In all your years dealing with the fire tax assessment, have you ever been a part of institutions not paying anything?
I have never been a part of an organization where the institution has paid nothing.
Okay. In the name of fairness and shared commitment, while I like the idea of Councilwoman Carroll's talking about no discount at first and then coming forth with what they've done for the community, I see sort of a discrepancy there, because the little church, like Bishop Wilkes Church, may be doing things, but not on a grand scale. So then, therefore, how do you determine what their value in making contributions to their neighborhood compared to a bigger church? So that's where I differ with Councilwoman Carroll.
Just to add to that, well, if you take, let's say, just because Hope is here and they spoke, so Hope is obviously a very large church, but they do a lot for the community, but their fire assessment bill is going to be a lot higher than a smaller church to start with. So the smaller church may only have to show that they've done $500 in service to get the full discount, whereas they would have to come up with like $10,000. So keep in mind, it's already scaled price-wise.
Who would determine, who would actually review Hope's versus Bishop Wilkes Church?
So what was presented, ma'am, on the memo that you have in your packet was that the paperwork, the form, the institution would need to fill out that hardship form. If we're not talking about discounting right from the get-go, if they applied, now we're talking hardship, we're on this side now. If they applied for that hardship to come forward, then they would have to meet the burden of proof. And what I mean by that is they would have to provide on the form, even the current form says you have to meet the qualitative and quantitative reasons why. You have to prove, you have to show how this would impact their services. And a great, if I may, Councilwoman Carroll just said, it's really relative to the size. So take Hope International, they big church, they're capable of doing a lot more, and they do a lot more. Bishop Wilkes Church, Pastor Wilkes Church, is smaller, and they're able to do what they can within reason of the size and capabilities of their church. So, and their fees are quite different. Probably, I don't have Pastor Wilkes Church's assessment, but I'm assuming it's probably just a couple $1,000s at best in that range. So I think it's relative to the size, but that doesn't mean you're not doing or able to get that discount, because you're able to do what you can within, the size and volunteers you have within the size of your church.
Well, what I really want to see is fairness and balance. I don't care how big you are, and I don't care how small you are. I'm asking for fairness and balance.
Yes, ma'am. So we would check those boxes that they did provide qualitative, quantitative. They did fill out the form appropriately. If they did not, we wouldn't even bring it to you to waste your time. We would contact the facility. We'd say, hey, we don't see anything here about quantitatively how this is going to affect you and how qualitatively you would not be able to provide certain services. We need you to explain that a little more thoroughly. Once we felt all the documentation was there, we would then put it on a council agenda for mayor, vice mayor, council to review and approve or deny.
So would rules have to be developed, or are you telling me now that if you compare Hope to Bishop Wilkes Church, if they were to be submitted to finance right now, they would be able to make a determination, say, this week? Or what I want to know is, are the rules in place now, or are they going to have to be developed?
So, ma'am, the rules that, again, the group with Dr. Dixon is part of had discussed was we would make sure that they provided the necessary information, but because anything that is not brought in or any discounts or hardship applied to institutional or residential would need to come from the general fund. That means everybody else has to pick up the difference or what's missing. So that's where, again, it would be brought to council for you guys to say, here's all the information that's provided to review and determine whether or not it should be approved or denied. It's really on a case-by-case basis, as Councilwoman Carroll was saying.
Again, all I say is fairness and balance. Thank you.
Yes.
Ms. Fike?
Thank you, Amy Jo. I was kind of in the same mindset, and you're right. You're not really comparing apples to oranges when we compare Pastor Wilkes to Hope. You know, when you look at the size of the church and the determination. Edge Methodist does many things. They volunteer their space for the robotics team and so on. So I think when you're looking at things in that, if you will, like a T-chart, for lack of a better explanation, that many of our churches have those provisions where whether it's providing meals or providing the space for somebody like robotics and so on, but there's an entire different square footage between all of them, and I do think that has to be taken into consideration, because then it is, to your point, Vice Mayor, fair, because you're looking at different size churches. Not everybody sits in the same footprint, not everybody sits on the same foundation. Pastor Wilkes Church is a lovely church, but it's minuscule compared to Hope and some of the others. So I think that's a very viable way to take a look at it. I think it's very fair to look at it that way.
And ma'am, that's where I believe maybe the total percentage discount, as we currently do, and whether you stick with that number or do something, another percentage, that way that percentage is fair and equitable to whatever, I believe Ms. Terrain said 10,000 is what Hope's was. It would be whatever percentage off of 10,000, and if Pastor Wilkes Church was 2,000, it would be that amount off of his 2,000, right? So it would be fair and equitable that way. The other fair and equitable is no discount. That's fair and equitable too. Of course, the facilities probably wouldn't agree to that, and I certainly understand their reasonings for that, but that's why we're here having the discussion to kind of put it on, don't mean to throw it in onto your shoulders, but we're putting. So those were the three options.
So back to my question earlier, Mr. Hine, since you punted down to number 3. How much do we have, or how much are we anticipating to be collecting without any discounts from?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Councilman Radsick. So as I think was presented, 52,186 would be 52,186 at 100%. At 75%, the general fund would have to contribute $39,139.50 if everyone qualified and everyone applied. And at 64%, which is the county's rate, it would be $33,399.
$52,000 for 100% of the 501c3s and the churches. To me, it's a no-brainer that you basically just discount it at 100%. It's not a lot of money. Or you can go ahead and increase your hardship by $100,000 and then make everyone apply for it. And maybe everyone doesn't apply for it. So if you want to be charming, and if you want to basically say here, you know, open checkbook, you basically say 100%. If you basically want people to be proactive and applying for it, then increase the hardship money X amount of dollars and then let them apply.
That has to make that decision, not him, you know. Well. Okay.
Would you like me to redirect the question to you then?
My problem is to make sure it's equitable. The more complex we make this, the more it's going to be a problem. I mean, and people are going to say you like them and you don't like me and all this kind of thing. So whatever it needs to be is across the board. I would add outside of just the 501c3, and we have to define what that means because that's also foundations and other things, that it's just religious. There's the C19, which is veterans and VFWs that we might want to add into that mix that's not in the 501c3 for that discount. I'm moving towards the 25-75 across the board, and just everybody's got a stake in it that way. And that keeps everybody on an even keel. We don't have any personalities involved or anything like that in a decision at the end. And that's where I stand. So,
Mayor, may I make just a quick comment? Just as a caution, when you say that, you mean religious and the qualifying charitable organizations that you mentioned, correct? Because I would caution when you start saying institutional in general, you have, next thing you know, you have a 3,000-bed hospital here in the city of Groveland or a rehab facility that's for profit, and you're extending enormous discounts when the burden on fire rescue and potentially to, you know, God forbid there was a fire on such a structure.
Yeah,
let me just clarify. I'm saying 501c3s, which couldn't be that hospital. That's the first level, and that's why I added the 501c19, because they're not covered underneath that same group, and narrow it down from there, because even 501c3 has some different things. I mean, I don't know if we want to give some foundation, you know, a big discount and stuff. But
so the qualifying facilities that you determined, okay.
Yeah, and Mr. Mayor, members of the council, may I suggest if you do develop a consensus, and let's say it is the existing 75% discount for qualified properties, nonprofits, and other approved classifications, we would come back with a policy for council to finally approve, with the understanding that the fire department would screen the applications for completeness and then present it to mayor and council for their ultimate decision.
Yeah, perfect. And just help me, because I want to make sure I'm thinking on the same line. We say across the board 75% to everybody. I'm just throwing that out. If somebody still has a hardship, then they can come and apply for the additional 25%, and that would come before, and that's where we'll have the discussion on who's doing what and all that. Would that not make sense?
That is an option as well. It's really whatever direction. So when you come to a consensus, we'll come back with the policy so everybody's crystal clear, and then I will find within the budget the resources.
Okay. All right. How we're going to do this? Do we have a consensus? I can't state the consensus, can I? It's just a consensus. Well, I'm just going to state my idea. 75-25 across the board for qualified 501c3 or 501c19 groups.
You do have public comment cards on this item as well.
Christina Tremaine.
Good evening again, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the council, city manager, address 13806 State Road 33, Groveland, Florida. Now that we have the distinction between the hardship program for residentials and the discounts, thank you, Chief Carroll, for clearing that up. We just want to apologize for misspeaking underneath the last section on section 2. But also with regards to respect to the call of fairness, I completely agree, Vice Mayor and Councilwoman Amy Jo Carroll. For the fairness, and that may also lie in the size of the building, as Chief Carroll was talking about. We're two different sizes, not just, talking about Pastor Wilkes and ours, but since we did have them on the floor, and while their or whoever else's assessment fee may be much lower, our $10,000 fee directly impacts our ability to continue to do those programs and assess those buildings. And so I also want to point out that larger churches doesn't necessarily equate to more money. That's a misconception. We just often may serve more people and have the capacity to do such, to serve the needs of the community. So every single dollar, I just want to reiterate, that we receive goes directly back into funding the mission and coinciding with Groveland to be able to support the residents who live here. So if anything, a larger church just means multiplying the city's benefit for us to be able to provide the food, the counseling, the hurricane shelters, the cold weather shelters, the special needs moments that we have. And since Hope International has been a part of this community for some 23 plus years, we're celebrating our church anniversary on the 26th of October, which all of you will be able to get an invitation to. We have also been able to even support the city in other ways in different types of fees, such as impact fees. We paid over $300,000 in those for each new building that we have erected. So we definitely want to make sure that we continue to do our part for the community, not something where we're not in favor or supporting our fire department. That is not the case, but we just want to be able to continue to support our city through supporting you all in these and taking some of that stress off of you all to be able to not have to be able to create new programs and things to put out money to support these things. So we just wanted to just kind of reiterate and just apologize for misspeaking under the last section, but we are definitely in favor for the hardship for institutions such as 501c3s, exemptions, and the discounts. So thank all of you for the consideration and time.
Thank you.
No further public comment.
Hey, please.
Would I be mistaken to say that often the city teams with Hope, other churches, and right now, Bishop Wilkes is the only one that I can think about, that when the city teams with Hope, do they not help provide funds and services for Hope, whereas the little churches don't get that opportunity for, funding or assistance from the city? Can somebody explain that to me?
I would have to go to you, city manager.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the council. While we do have strong partnerships with Hope, and as you know, we have the agreement for rental of the gymnasium facilities and shared use, when we do the back-to-school backpack event and things like that, there's not direct funding from the city to Hope. That's provided by them.
Marketing. When we do those type of events, it's bringing attention to a church or other 501c3 or otherwise.
So then, as we talk about marketing, the little churches, do not the little churches need marketing? Do not the little churches need partnerships and assistance from the city?
I want to just bring that back to, are you talking about funding? How does it equate to the?
Christina was talking, I think all three of them had talked about, the outreach that Hope does, which they do a lot of outreach. My point was, and Mike used the word partnership, that we do partner with Hope. Okay, so then Mr. Razik said it's marketing. My question is should we also be marketing or partnershiping with the little churches as well? That's my question.
Yeah, I think that's the discussion, but right now we're talking about the funding. Or how does that equate to the funding, Madam Vice President? We're talking, maybe I'm off. Our subject
Did you just
is
say
on-
Vice President?
Yeah, she's always.
I was like,
You
wow.
just got a promotion, Barbara.
He always does it.
Mayor, if I might just,
Yeah.
for a moment. I'm kind of, my head's kind of on both sides of this. Yes, we do the backpack giveaway at Hope. They have a school there. Pastor Wilkes Church does not. So when he's saying it's not marketing, I know it's coming out of the marketing budget, but it benefits residents from all over Groveland, regardless of whatever church they attend, regardless of what school they attend. It's not just the Hope Preparatory students. In fact, after that's over, not that we go to the churches to hand them out, but we go to the different schools to kind of give the excess backpacks out to folks. So I think the marketing, to me, I think I know what you were saying,
It's bringing
Mike.
attention to the organization that we're doing something with. That's
Well, and to
probably
the
better
city
words.
as well. It's focused on the city. Every city, Mascot, Mineola, Claremont, they all do a backpack giveaway regardless of where they do it, whether they do it at the Montrose Center in Claremont and so on. So it's not to give that marketing overview to that particular area. It's that we are doing this for the city and the children of the city. So it's just that Hope is large enough, in my mind, to accommodate that. We couldn't do that backpack giveaway at Pastor Wilkes Church. And I mean, I love his church. We had a great time when we went there. So I think that marketing term, I think, kind of has a little bit of a dual conception and misconception there.
Okay, I'd just like to bring it back home.
Yeah.
If you can help me bring it back home.
Fire
We're
assessment.
discussing the funding.
Fire assessment.
And we're talking about the fire assessment. Those are questions that we can bring up when the backpack thing comes up next or marketing does their presentation. But right now, we need to concentrate on institutional across the spectrum. And I think we've had the presentation on one of the three suggestions that was given to us by our chief, and I put out as a consensus the 75-25 with the ability for people to come and apply for hardship.
I think I'm okay with that, that's fine.
I'm okay
As
with
long as
that as
we,
well.
as long as we specify that it's for
Yep.
the 5013Cs or C19, and we can even nail it down further if we need to. Yes.
Ma'am?
And I'm good with that, so that they can come in and show that they're qualitative, give back to the community and allow them to make that, I hate to use the word argument, but make that impression.
So we have a consensus, Mr. City Manager?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, thank you for the direction. We'll try to bring it back as early as the next meeting, but no later than the October 20th.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chief. You wanted
Mayor,
to
Council,
say
thank you.
something?
Yeah, what I wanted to say is since going back to that 30% of the fire assessment, 70% of that 30%, or probably about $800,000, is being assessed to homes between 1,200 to 1,599 square foot. And I don't personally agree with that, but evidently there's some studies. Say it again?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Councilman Radzik, if you'll recall, the whole impetus for the reevaluation of the assessment was to look at the new growth and how it changed patterns, because with any assessment, there has to be a nexus or a direct tie or relationship to services. And while I understand the desire to relieve the burden on the smaller homeowners, that's the proportionate number of calls when you look at the basic life support.
And all I was going to suggest is that 6 months from now, take another look at it and see if it can be adjusted or otherwise. Maybe by that time, we'll have another big commercial building or whatever.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, we'll certainly monitor it, but I don't want to give too much optimism to changing it, because you'd have to go through the whole process again.
And one thing, Mr. Redzik, that brought it home to me was the presentation that was done at the huddle, where it was very evident that 94% of all the calls are medical related, and they cross the spectrum, and the rest are the fire. So, I mean, it's very important that everybody knows that everybody says, well, I'm not going to have a fire, but not everybody will say, I don't need an ambulance sometime or medical support. So that's where it kind of locked it for me. And in those high-density areas get a lot of areas. So with that, we have the consensus. We have the recommendation for 6 months, and we'll do that. And I know you'll hold our feet to the fire on that. And any other comment before we then adjourned?
Went down the rabbit